Today we're talking about world building. And what better movie to watch than Lord of the Rings?
One stage of your journey is over, another begins.
We're gonna figure out what makes a world amazing. And through this discussion, I'll teach them how to build a law firm, because that's what the show is about. All right? So let's go.
One of the things that I love in this movie is they just say statements that the characters know the context of, but the audience has no idea, and it adds a ton of weight. So let me show you what I mean.
To enter the forbidden pool bears the penalty of death.
What's the forbidden pool? Doesn't matter. Why is it forbidden? Does not matter. All that matters is it creates like the illusion of this really rich world. Or another example is Gandalf calls Shadowfax.
Shadowfax is the lord of all horses.
Like, of course, yeah, Shadowfax.
Of course.
Yeah, he's the Lord of Horses, right?
Yeah.
We all know that. So just little things like that make the film feel real because the characters are talking about historical events and like these locations that we don't know.
Gimli, lower your axe. They have feelings, my friend. The elves began it. Waking up the trees.
The first thing I think of actually is how to win cases. So a lot of times we have to argue things. Like, for example, we have to argue this person is extraordinary, therefore they deserve a green card. Or this person is so sad, they are suffering so much, so therefore they deserve to not be deported and granted a green card. It will be tremendously boring and completely useless if we just spend 40 pages saying, this person's sad, look how sad he is, he's crying now. Officer will be just throw it in the trash, right? So how do you tell that story? How do you prove somebody's extraordinary? How do you prove somebody is an executive, a manager, if adjectives don't work? You have to paint the world. The thing that you want to say the most, don't say it, whisper it, right? Whisper it and let the reader, let the person who's analyzing, who's need to make discretionary judgment, they will understand and hear it and hear it in their own mind. If they just directly see it, like, you need to approve this case because this, it's almost like, okay, I don't care.
And we really see this in Where Was Gondor When Westfold Fell?
All right.
Where was Gondor when the Westfold fell? Where was Gondor when our enemies closed in around us? Where was Gondor?
This mean is really just one person saying to another, like, we need aid, we need help. And he could have just said no.
Or like, that never happened.
Right,
you know what
right.
I mean?
Like, or who will come?
Yeah, exactly.
Right? The tension of believing in hope and eventually somebody will come and we will be united. And this builds up to the elves.
Yes.
But instead of just like, you know, maybe the elves will come, maybe they will not, but it's just showing such a distrust of other people and slipping those one-liners in.
Yeah.
That really adds to the world building.
And yeah, referencing the history of like when our enemies were closing in you know 1173, like Gondor was like you know, they didn't have the bridge, they didn't lower the bridge, like you know, it's like these international incidents, you know.
But you can't say too much because then it'll be really boring.
Exactly.
It's just a one line.
Yeah, the you just slips it in, you know.
It
means everything.
When the Westfold fell, I have no idea what that means.
But it fell.
Like I can guess. Like
Gondor should have been there,
and they were not. Of course, this culminates in the elves actually showing up. Yeah, in one of my favorite moments of this movie.
Give you chills.
Yeah, right?
Give you chills every time.
So organized.
Yeah, like, especially compared to everyone else who's, like, dirty and the morale is, like, gone. Like, compared to him, his costume and everything, his hair is, like,
How is this possible?
It feels like an American talking to a European.
I'm guessing with the elves here, right?
Sure.
Yeah. It's not just a world building, too, because it's connecting to the characters. Like, Elrond, he had given up hope. He was like, there's no point. So there's growth. He's changed.
Yes.
And it links that internal growth with our characters being saved from death in this massive battle, which is like... The internal and the external are totally linked.
Right. So world building isn't just building a world. You build the world in tandem with the plot line, with the character development. because you could just build out this world and you could just read a 500-page
description. Which he did do, right? With the Similarian or whatever.
Right. But nobody reads that,
yeah.
right? But you use that as a context and you slip in as much detail in a subtle way.
Right.
That's amazing.
So how does this fit into the law firm?
There's nothing worse than if the entire firm is just homogenous. It's just the exact same because you're quite, singular, if that's it. You want to create a world full of different personalities, full of different strengths, and full of different talents. There's no perfect person, but there could be a perfect team, meaning your strengths will be able to complement another person's weakness. And so if everybody works together, the team, the company can thrive. And when you create a company, you almost have to envision, well, what is the ideal company for your vision, for your industry? That's almost the plot part. So you have to determine, okay, what kind of company, what kind of vision, what kind of values do we want to have? So if what we want to do is focusing on a lot of creativity, a lot of autonomy, a lot of growth for the individuals, and we want to solve problems with creative solutions, we need a lot of creativity, then we need to build our office accordingly. We need to bring in people with that kind of personality. So based on your vision of what you are trying to create in the firm, then you want to build it accordingly. And so when I'm envisioning the firm, where do I want to work at? When I'm doing the hiring for people, the question I'm asking in the back of my mind is, would I want to work for you? Instead of, do I want you to work for me? Because it is that dynamic. Do I like you enough that I want to work for you? Do I believe in you enough? Do I believe in your vision? And so I like our firm because we have that dynamic. We have girl to guy ratio, that's important. We have good different ethnicities. We have different cultures. We have different backgrounds. We have different language capabilities. We have different strengths. Some people are really, really good at organization, and some people are really, really good at argumentation. And oftentimes they're not actually the same. And we have some people who's really good at project management, and there's somebody who's completely spontaneous. We have all sorts of different personalities that all work together to achieve one singular mission. You envision what kind of world you want, what kind of mission you want, and you bring in the different people and you bring in all the different flavors. And that's also why I allow everybody to decorate and design your interior, your space according to how you like. Everybody has their place, everybody has their tendencies, but how do we live in this world together? And like that line, like, what are we fighting for?
There's some good in this world, Mr. Fertile, and it's worth fighting for.
In the end, right, 100 years from now, nobody on this planet will probably remember us. Our descendants, it will be our descendants. Like, you don't remember your great-great-great-grandfather. So all the things that you're struggling for and everything that you're doing is just going to be poof. So what is it all for? Well, whether or not it lasts forever isn't the ultimate defining value of what matters today. It's the process, it's the journey. Outcome is one thing, but as long as you're doing your best, that's the beauty, that's the meaning. Set your vision, your plot, and the world that you build, that feeds into each other.